Yippee! We are getting back into it here as Clubhouse is up next. And I said it before, this is the ultimate test for teams. We get to see whether or not their fundamentals are on point, but we also get to see how they stack up against one another in terms of pure skill. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling excited because I'm really hoping that, like, again, on paper, if I just kind of ignore the last few weeks from Panahone, this is set to be a good one, right? This is set to be a really good one. But there is that part of me that's just kind of being a bit stressed about how they've been playing lately because it isn't their full potential. There's cracks that have started to form, especially on these attacks. As you've just touched on, this is such a good benchmark for teams. It's an even Steven's playing field. Everyone knows how to play it. We say this all the time. But it's this idea that, like, if you're struggling on the attacks and you're still struggling on the attacks on a map like Clubhouse, that speaks volumes. That speaks absolute volumes because you again, there's so many things you can pre-fire. There's so many things you can expect. Utility choices already are quite an interesting one because we're not choosing to bring out the buggy. This is the easiest way to get that, soft destruction going, that easy way to get the Verti. Massive utility investment from Secret as well. Huge extension here. All the way to the top floor, investing in mute jammers, castle barricades, reinforcing the wall. Linku hoping that people are going to come and try and chase him here. On the side of Panahone, and again, that could be a time waste. Maybe that is a slightly added benefit of having that sledge right now, is the fact that it gives you a little bit more flexibility when you're approaching those defenders on that top floor. Pop open this hatch, start to pressure towards them. Maybe Nifsu will wiggle his way up the stairs and try and catch people off if they rotate down.
A nice slow start, but instantly a fight could be coming up. Oh, look at that. The pipe. It's going to keep him at base slightly. Doesn't want to step out in the middle of the fire. Take a bunch of damage because of it. But whilst that's happening, Alem's using the tiny little shotgun to start opening things up. And with the first minute passing, I mean, they're still working on getting full control of first floor, top floor. And while Panahone is around on the middle floor, there's actually 2 or 3 players beside the Team Secret Academy. They're finding themselves all the way on that top floor, trying to stall, trying to bait, trying to find a kill. And they're getting that way because they're being hunted right now. And as Nick takes the first fight, he loses out, but just barely. Alems will find Lambe as well as the second one leans into the fight. But the down comes through. However, though, no way of isolating, no way of confirming the kill. And thus will have to stick around in that garage for just a little bit longer, a minute 20 left. As Rastin putting up a little bit of pressure towards the main stairs. Nifsu around with that shield still, trying to figure out a way or two on getting himself inside because the man advantage is not with them, but it's with Team Secret Academy.
For however went to go for the confirmed, just to be safety first about things. Nifsu deep into sight, gets shut down by Jaxo, not aware of him lurking just around the corner there. This player slightly isolates one over, trying to pinch out Jax. There we go, Halber gets it. Halber will go down in retaliation, Linku popping up out of nowhere. Rastin left in a 1vx, very difficult. 30 seconds to go, just needs to find these 1 versus 1s, but they know exactly where he is. That's where the aggression can come through a little bit from Team Secret if they want to get cheeky with it. There we are. Clinical, to be honest, from Secret. Really good start from them.
Yeah, it's good to kind of stay calm, not trying to overdo it. Panahone, they took that first floor very quickly, not really bothering too much about that second floor. That's something that Team Secret Academy could utilize because as soon as they were seen instantly trying to push that garage, instantly trying to put up that pressure and being caught off guard.
Well, It's actually slightly for nothing because we are going to actually have a bit of a restart of the map. The sides are actually wrong, so it's actually Secret that are meant to be starting on the attack here on Clubhouse. So again, it's going to be interesting to see if Secret can hit the ground running in the same way that initially Panahoné were. Yes, those bodies were dropping, but we did see kind of Halva really attempt to take space in Garage, for example, using that bit shield. I think already from the get-go, I'm a little bit nervous. Because again, if I think about the easiest utility for you to bring out in those situations when it comes to Clubhouse for most maps, and again, it's most sites, it's this idea that you need to take the one that gives you the most bang for your buck, right? Sometimes lately, Panahoné have been bringing stuff that you're like, okay, yes, it works, but it's not giving yourself the easiest job here. And it's a little thing sometimes like, okay, if you're taking out the sledge over the ram, for example, that implies to me that you want to go for full clearance. It implies to me that you want to go and establish verti from the top of the map all the way down to the bottom, which you can do very effectively with sledge. But sometimes I'm just like, why not just take it a bit easier and just take something like a buggy, for example, where you don't have to worry about aggression from the defense because you can just lob it through the window and job is done. You can apply pressure elsewhere. I do kind of feel like that's maybe something as time goes on I want to see from Panahoné on their attacks today. It will kind of show that they're being a bit more resourceful is how I'll put that, resourceful. But already for Secret, again, I think it's going to be a nice one. Yes, they're going to have to flip onto the attack now, but they tend to be quite decent with those attacks. They do up the ante. They are assertive about it. They don't dilly-dally. And again, I think if you're Panahoné, you want to try and waste a bit of time here. Because the French teams in general tend to be very quick with it. They tend to be very aggressive. Secret in particular is something we saw from them all summer. But before that unfortunate loss in the combined final, they were really getting stuck in, and some of those attacks were real nasty. Ironically, even on maps like Bank, right, where Panahoné, that's their playing ground, it has been banned out. And again, it's because Secret themselves, they've had some aggressive moments of just immediately snuffling up those attacking rounds on Bank in summer. And I don't doubt that's something that kind of they're dropping too much. I think they just had their confidence knocked during the kind of Rumble era.
Maybe so. I mean, we will find out. You mentioned it yourself as well. Like they have changed as a team. There's no two ways about that. And whilst again the pressure isn't really there to win this in terms of getting yourself to the T2 finals, pressure's still there to prove yourself. They want to show that they are the new top dog because Panahoné, they have been hoarding the majority of these points. Team Secret Academy is like biting at their heels. If they knock them out now, I mean, the difference between those two, I believe, is only 10 points. Let me just quickly check, because if that is the case, knocking them out now, could mean that, they will get third place. If you manage to get first place, boom, 20 points difference. You find yourself ahead of your opponent. So still the opportunity to play a little bit for the seeding here in terms of those T2 finals. I
think for me, it was more like I really was expecting Panahoné to end up in a grand finals position at least once in the main three, right? Initially, I will be truthful, I genuinely thought that they were gonna do a lot more than what they did in here we go. I'm sorry. I thought they were gonna do a lot more than they actually did when they did their showing in Combine. They completely lost themselves in the playoffs bracket, I'll be real. It was completely light and day between how they were playing. Rumble then was a lot better. And again, there's all these kind of minor leagues happening at the T2 level where you're watching them and you're going, okay, cool, we're cooking. Lately, it's been janky. And every time I point this out, it's not coming from a place of like BM. It's actually coming from such a place of like adoration, because I really think that, again, they're another one of my fave rosters where I just want to see them, meet that potential. And I think they have the opportunity they've had a load of opportunities to do so, and then just falling at the last hurdle. Secret as well, like, Secret have that, Secret have that idea where, they're trying to pull this redemption back in their favor. I'd argue that puts a lot of pressure on them, but again, they seem pretty locked in. We've seen in the interviews how kind of chill, cool, and calm, calculated they are. Like, it's a completely different mentality that they're coming into it with, and I think that's where things are going to start progressing over the course of the rest of this tournament. It's going to be down to the mental game, whoever's kind of able to keep their head, so to speak, when they're going into these series.
Well, that's just it. I've been sent back in for a second just to distract you, really, to give you something some pretty face to look at while we wait to get back into it. I'm only joking. I'm not joking. The thing is that I want to very quickly mention as well that we've not spoken about just while we're here is that Diavoli, after dropping down earlier on, will play against Project Zero in that bottom half in the lower bracket. So, of course, top teams, these two teams here are fighting to go to the upper bracket final. The winner would play against Geeky, and the loser would play against Good Intentions in the lower bracket final. So, just in case you guys were not aware of that, I have got that planned out for you there. So, yeah. Not much we can really say about this map yet though, because it's just started and we haven't seen all that much yet. But Clubhouse, Hap, how were you feeling about Clubhouse earlier on?
I mean, for a while I was afraid it was going to be a very quick map, so I was happy that it was still dragged out a little bit. And you know, it's kind of what you expect from Clubhouse. Like, there is almost no quick Clubhouse, except for when I'm playing in ranked and I'm suddenly meeting just a pro stack, and I'm like, okay, cool. But besides that, there's no quick Clubhouse, and like that's really what I want to be seeing from these two teams as well. I want to see them go to the limit. I want to see them giving them their all, and I want this to go to like 12 rounds at least. And a question specifically for you, Hap, about Clubhouse, because you've got to cast that a few times now, and I want to know how what your opinion is of the destructible ingredients on this map so far. Oh. See, that's rough because I haven't really seen the impact yet from them. Like, the one thing it has done is the fire pipe near bathroom, where it slows people down if they're pushing in from that direction towards the main stairs. Besides that, like maybe with the fire extinguishers here and there as well, just popping up a cloud of smoke. But it hasn't really been that dramatic before. Yeah. And I mean, I think this is also part of the case. Like, if the defenders feel like it's a liability to them, they'll just take it out before the round even starts. And the attackers will do the exact same thing. Like, that's a liability for when we push in, so we're just gonna destroy it before we push any further in this room. Because Clubhouse is such a step-by-step thing, it just becomes part of the step-by-step plan.
Yeah, it's like another thing on the checklist that you just have to kind of check off. You're like,
it's like we got to shoot this pipe, you know, so it blows up, and we can actually move in afterwards.
It's interesting to kind of realize that when it comes to this tournament in particular, you know, we have seen a different way that these destructible ingredients have been played. And I will actually kind of, you know, counter that point slightly, because I think as soon as the environmental aspect started coming in, it was very, very excited, specifically on the map of Clubhouse. Like, all the other maps, it wasn't as effective. Clubhouse itself, the placement of those gas cannons, those gas pipes, the placement of those fire extinguishers are way more impactful compared to a lot of the other maps. You know, one like the bottom of main stairs, for example, when you're pushing basement, you get this massive smoke bit of cover that a lot of people like to use, and you know, use for advantage, especially when you're kind of thinking about whether or not people are playing with that ash rush wall, for example. You have the construction to gym push, where that doorway, you've got a gas canister there. It's a free Vulcan if the defense want to use it. But at the same time, it's a free little bit of cover if you do want to suddenly go aggressive into Logi. You know no one's going to swing you behind if you pop that gas canister, because you have that area of effect there. And maybe as soon as people see the fire there, they're thinking, okay, they're going to push there. I need to shoot the Vulcan myself. And the next thing you know, your mate's going down in logistics, and you're like, oh, goodness gracious me, what are we going to do? They've kind of bamboozled us there. I love the destructible ingredients, and it is entirely down to Clubhouse. It is entirely down to Clubhouse. I for one am like just endlessly worshipping the Clubhouse vibes when it comes to the destructible ingredients. Even, to be honest, there's one at the bottom of a garage, right? That garage doorway that can be quite impactful too, depending on who's playing and you know what's happening. So it is quite exciting to see. But again, as Haps touched on, it seems to have changed recently, where people are just kind of getting rid of it as soon as possible. They don't want to faff about with it. They don't want to risk having that kind of utility used against them, or kind of being a hindrance to them, especially with given how close things seem to get on Clubhouse, especially when we have teams like this who are very evenly matched, to be honest. Again, I think that a lot of the 2-0s we've seen haven't really reflected the caliber of these rosters.
Yeah. This is the thing. I'm glad that you kind of went on a bit of a tangent there for the destructible ingredients. I'm glad it was a question for Hap. I'm so glad that you enjoyed yourself there for a few seconds of grace, because the destructible ingredients, I think, have been pretty big on the likes of Clubhouse because of the positions that they are put in, and I think that is something that is. It's not as clear on other maps as it is on we're kind of bringing it up just because we're kind of trying to have a conversation about the map specifically, because we haven't seen them play each other on this, and the thing is we're not that far into it. We're going to be restarting from 0-0 with Panahoni on the defence, and we'll talk about that kind of later on as to what we're actually doing with it. But I'm just excited to get into the game because it's who's going to be playing against Geeky. It's like almost like we're deciding which lamb we're sending to the slaughter for this one. So yeah, let's go to the game. You guys enjoy.
Restart as we get back into it. Getting to see a third clubhouse of the day this way. Getting everything I want, just no chalet. It's sad. I forgot how to speak. It's incredible.
I think it's interesting though, because again, as much as you want the chalet, it's because it's such a unpredictable map for most of the teams that are left in the tournament at this point. Again, it's very back and forth. Even if people have got a little bit of an advantage, it's kind of like, okay, there's not enough data there really. People aren't really wanting to go to chalet. I think maybe a big part of that is just because of how many people seem to really like struggle with it during the last two tournaments in particular. We had some really dodgy chalet attacks where you're kind of thinking, these players were being so gung-ho about stuff where they were forcing 1v1s on chalet attack. That is not how you do a chalet attack. You have those crossfires nicely established due to the size of the map. So I think it's one of those maps that have gone back to the drawing board for the majority of these teams at the T2 level.
Well, we get to see as Team Secret now actually starting off on the attack. If they are going to be able to bring that same amount of aggression like we saw when they were playing early on the defense. And basically see a bit of roam going around from Panahoni, closing off some of the doors, just trying to provide some extra bit of cover to themselves, an extra bit of information as soon as they get opened up.
Loading new magazine.
Which will force Team Secret Academy to go through and basically give it away that they're coming in from that direction if they do.
Jack's getting stuck in. I see people try and contest a bit of blue pressure, actually, because again, does kind of make the eyeballs flicker towards that direction a bit more. It can open up spaces elsewhere, especially with where we go. Marto dealing with Nifsu. Marto and Lems, they can start to pressure around this main stairs, pressure around that Moto hatch. There we go. Xkaros opening up nice and swiftly. That's a really good start for Secret as well, because it's pressuring points in as many places as they possibly can. You're splitting that attention from the get-go. No trade as well, so again, you've got that little freebie opener. There's those destructible ingredients we're talking about. Smoke cover going up. You have to worry about that as the ramp progresses on either side. Nick trying to get a little bit aggro. I love it when people play aggressively around this hatch. I think that isn't going to be able to be delayed. Maybe one more nade. Will it hit? Yes, it will, just in time. Kitchen hatch staying firmly closed for now, Hap.
Yeah, gonna keep that shut. Next set of Xkaros already coming through though. And with that, the wall or hatch will eventually be opened up. It's giving him the opportunity to start putting down that pressure towards that basement. You just see Martel with that sledge, putting up the pressure, starting to open up all the walls, all the floorboards you can imagine. There's no heavy roam up towards that top floor, and Secret, with that woman advantage, is going to try and utilize the best of their abilities. Marta saw a man run around the corner. As the barbed wire will give away a little bit of the game. The pre-fires are starting to come through. It's a lineup from Marta as he finds two. That's 3 for the round. And as he gets shut down, it's a quad kill. Is he on for the ace? As he swaps over to his pistol, deals quite a bit of damage. Pre-firing either side, deals even more, but he's on 1 HP himself now. The post plant is there. He's on 1 HP as well. Nyx is not giving it to him. He gets shot by the bees. What? Whoa! Not seen a kill like that coming through yet. The bees stole the ace. I never thought I'd see the day.
In the words of Nicolas Cage, not the bees. That is unfortunate in those final moments. again, just really aggro from Secret. That's how they play, though. You need to be prepared for that from the get-go. Poking holes, no contestion. Panahorne playing very passive on these defenses so far, waiting for them to come to them. And again, you don't want to give a team like Secret Academy the breathing space, because that's when they start to again get so much control and pressure, and then it's just a bit of guesswork. Where are they going to swing me from?
I believe the ace was stolen by bees. Like, I'm gonna be honest, it felt like Secret were giving him the ace as well. Like, no one was trying to take the fight, no one was pre-firing it. And Lems was like, oh, let me just shoot some bees in there to give you, like, you know, a ping on where he is live. Oh no, the bees got the kill. Oh, wonderful first round. As we get back on, Team Secret Academy, you mentioned it just now, but really aggro in there, instantly exploded. Managed to find themselves, kills required. And now onto the second round they go. As start the whole riddle again.
Reloading.
What is the setup like? Do they need to worry about? How are they going to be breaching? How are they going to be entering? All these questions will be answered in these next 2 minutes.
Taking the Swift, opening up the walls. And Hornet. Okay, it's not really extending too much. Lambe is in garage, but when you're playing that far, you do need a lot of aggression to come alongside you from the player typically playing around cash. In this case, Nifsu, of course. SMG-11 and the shotgun, always a nice bit of kit to have. Side actually he's rotated now to this red stairs area. That's given Linku the breathing space to start taking garage pressure and control as well. There's going to be maybe a little bit of a pile on this side of the map. Secret, they have a lot of kit to do so though, should they choose to take it. Opening up this wall, that's going to apply a bit of pressure. Jax, especially with the shield. Ooh, Kiba. Not only does it block the entry point there for Jax, but it actually cuts off the line of sight that you yourself could have used effectively. Nisu taking down the Lems. This Nick going massive. Swinging out the window, deals with Marto. Nisu can be picked up here. It is dangerous indeed, but Halva dealing with Jax. That's a lot of breathing space now, Hap. That pickup can surely happen. Maybe not, because Frenchie and Linku, they just don't care. They're just waltzing in like it's nobody's business. Linku is down. There is time to potentially help him.
Oh, the fire.
Needs to be careful of that fire. It's ironic, we touched on it before. Who needs to be pulled out? You've got to be careful here. Tuck around the corner. If that swing comes in from Logi at the wrong time, which it will, Nick. Goodness me, the timing. Not much Frenchie can do. Was going to try and clutch that out, but the timing, and the initiative in those moments to be like, I just need to get aggressive around Logi. And that's what I'm talking about, Hap. When you have a team like Secret, you need to meet them head on. You can't just dilly-dally and fall back and be passive. You have to bring the thunder. You have to bring that bite. And certainly if players are going to bring that bite, it is going to be Nick.
Yeah, good bit of back and forth between the two teams there, because you mentioned it. If you don't lean into that fight, and you know, that's what we needed to see, like people jumping out the windows to start isolating, because as soon as they exploded over CCTV cache, things were going the wrong way. And if they weren't able to bring back and lean back into that aggression, they would have snowballed from there on. So, good call from them. The right choices made on the jump outs, on the holds, on basically everything out there. So that Panahorne to pick up that first defensive round. Thus, as get going, that 1-1 on the board, back to CCTV cache we go. Not that these two teams have played there yet, but you've seen it earlier today. Okay, so if there is any site that has a step-by-step plan they can write out and anybody can follow, it is this site. First, open either the outside breach or the garage. Secondly, you open up the other breach you haven't opened up. Push the multi down the mezzanines in garage. And boom, you have site control. Like, it's that easy. You can try and get the plant out. And yes, there's a couple of things you have to worry about. You know, there could be a nitro cell from below. There could be a bandit. Now, there's all ways to deal with that as well, like explosives or bringing a maverick. And, you know, that there's so many different things you can play it at. But in general, it is as simple as that. You open garage, you open the main breach, you take garage, you win the round.
Clash on the rafters is very nasty. It's a horrible little stack up. Rightfully so, it may be better to actually try and get that construction pressure going, if not ending up in a construction tape. Just so you don't have to faff about going against that clash. I mean, you do have the fire bolts. And that's food for thought. If you're ever against that clash, the easiest way to dislodge her is by sending some firebolt action towards her footsies. Nobody wants a barbecued clash, and that's the easiest way to dislodge her from these power positions. Jax should have clocked it again, Monty. Being that walking drone of sorts, you're able to sit in that doorway and be like, okay, yeah, there is indeed a clash on the rafters too right now. We're gonna need a bit of firebolt action going, please, Alems. There was one being sent out. Grimbees might be able to add a little bit of added benefit as well. Just to hold things back somehow.
And it left. Still a lot that needs to be done. They want to take control of that garage, but not really in a position to do so, except for the fact they are. Incendiary bolt could move Nick back. Pushing in Jax right afterwards. They are ready with the incendiary. There's the fire as well, as Nick is going to be completely blind. He's just backing up into a corner, acting as a bit of bait, but there is a clash back. There is a fight back. As Alems finds one, Nissu trades back out. But Jack's now able to push up on that mezzanines together with his teammate. Of course, still, these smoke bolts in pocket, allowing them to block lines of sight, which can then be used to try and get the plant out. Linko is, however, on the rappel. He's the one that has the diffuser. There's 14 seconds left. They need to dig in deep. Jax needs to provide some cover as the seconds keep counting down and the bullets start flying. The injures are there as well. He needs to provide cover on either side, but the pressure is coming in from red as the plant in the meantime attempted by the side of Linko. The side retaken by Nissu, and the Nitrocell closing things off. It is Panahone that find themselves their second round on the board.
Yeah, quick thinking in those final moments again, even just like the pinch coming through at the end there. Elder swinging from the door as you're sending in that C4 and following up with a push of your own. Really can make or break things sometimes. Final bands to come out. We see Blackbeard or the Monty removed from the hands of Secret right now. I think that would be a good... There's no Grim. So again, Panahone feeling that they're getting pressured too much by that Grim. This army makes sense for Secret right now. Again, she's just so annoying. She's so annoying to go up against. Very high ban rate as an operator in general. And again, especially on Clubhouse, you know, you think about all the different pockets of you know, kind of sentry-like defense you can build. Whether that's rafters, you know, dotting them here, there, and everywhere, or even just things like plugging up walls, plugging up doors. It's really annoying as an attacker to go through all those steps to actually give yourself a little bit of an opener, only for a Kiba to suddenly be lobbed towards you, and you're just like, for goodness sake, the timer is ticking. I need to get a jog on.
Camera ready to activate. Wall secured.
As we get going, Secret Academy not able to really get their attacks on the board because they're being dismantled in that final second.
Setting Vulcan.
Of course, having that first one on the board due to a massive performance from Marto. He was about to ace. The first ace, I believe it would have been of the tournament.
Doorway secure.
If it wasn't for the bees. Have we seen an ace this tournament? I don't think we have, right?
I swear there was one in the group stage.
I cannot recall.
I could also be losing my marbles. It could be wishful thinking. Again, looking at the rosters in this tournament, I was so excited to get my teeth into this one. Absolute gold when it comes to roster lineups. I wouldn't be too surprised. Marto, that's one way of doing it. Why faff about those barricades when you could just use a sledgehammer, get stuck in? And again, sometimes it really is just this basic, simple utility, ladies and gents.
There's a man in the bathroom,
Giving
right?
yourself... There is indeed someone in the bathroom.
Do they know? Because the drone is definitely not checking it.
The drone has not checked Halver as there, no, and this is a bit scary. Halver coming up close and personal. Maybe it will spot him out now.
Nope.
No, it won't. Going up the stairs might be used as a flank drone there. This could be huge. If Halver can remain there undetected, he could cause a massive bit of chaos here. Especially if Alem's just crouched there by the bar. If he comes behind, shuts him down, a swing then on Tomato.
Activating drone.
Oh no. They think one is upstairs. Hover, be patient. Have that trick of discipline. Even now, like, I mean, a minute 30, would you shoot if you see them popping up right in front of you? Because if you don't, you have the opportunity to just follow them down. There's one. Oh no, he fires. Okay, gives away the game. Has their impact out. He's gone into the shrimp club. The wall has been opened up though. Nope, they're letting him be. Not chasing him down. There's a minute left. There's not that much time. As Jax with the shield is at least trying to finish the job. The grenade gets tossed in, and so is the fight on either side. And Hova will lose his life, but the time he's wasted, as he will be confirmed, is already worth it. Found the Lems as well. A lot of utility off the board. The incendiary bolts, the smoke bolts as well. And two players were forced to deal with him and hunt him down, rather than opening up verticals and start playing those verticals, which means that we're getting into a drop position down these hatches where they haven't really cleared out all that much. And with 30 seconds left on the clock and Jax finding himself inside a motorcycle, it's Linko trying to come down blue. Marto looking to go for Oil Pit once more like he did in the last round and almost aced. With the grenades coming through, should definitely relocate these players. And as they do, it's Linko not able to really connect to the players as he wants to. Lambe surviving with about 1 HP as the planters attempt it right behind the bar, but it's only up to Jax and Frenchie. And Jax being 1 HP could take a single shot for anything and get blown up. The Nitro finds one, and Nick will find a second with the SMG. A teabag to close off the round, and Panahone, they find themselves their third round here on defense.
There's a saying, if you want to win, get a fin, but again, I just think Nick has been so consistent throughout the last 2 months. It's like, if you want to win, get a Nick, to be honest. Good gracious. Single-handedly dismantling that post-EP and securing the round for his teammates. Again, that's the threat factor sometimes that I do have me scratching my head. It's like, you can have players like Nick, you can have players like Lambe, but it does need to be a bit more of a group effort at times. I love the fact that Halver was able to be a little bit sneaky-like in that round. I think, okay, I want to see more ratty plays come out of Halver.
Definitely worked out well there.
I just think that's like the... Think about it, right? When you're attacking, you've got your checklist you need to get through, right? Your step A, step B, step C. Aggression and Ratty works way more on defense because of the fact that if you suddenly pop up out of nowhere where you're not expected to be, you throw such a spanner in the works. Everyone looking at that checklist is like, oh, good gracious, now we have to worry about this person that's just popped up out of nowhere. And that wastes so much time that you're then scrambling to get that checklist completed. It's such an old thing, but such a gold thing, you know. Like it's a classic way that a lot of rounds of Siege end up getting played.
Loading the magazine.
I think especially when you are going against more aggressive teams who they're moving very quickly for that checklist, you need to mess with their timings a little bit. You need to mess with their head a bit. You need to waste a lot of time there. In a safe way, I suppose. Again, it's safety first, really, to kind of not go for plays like that. But maybe I just want the spice. Maybe I just want to see
This is what I said
Spice come
before.
out.
For teams that are very methodical, the best way to counter them is by being disruptive.
Yeah, precisely.
Not allowing them to do their, their plan by step-by-step plans. And there's multiple ways of doing that, as the wall has been softened up by Frenchie. Just putting a drone in position, which gets shut out, but at least wall was open up. Wall will be completely opened up as well now with the shotgun from Linko. Team Secret Academy, after a very convincing first round, not able to put anything else on the board so far. And thus, as drones being shut down one by one, I mean, the mute jammer there is definitely going to be stopping them from moving in to some extent. Lambe finds one, Hova finds another. Red, however, is overrun in the meantime. They're still holding strong as Rastin sending shots down range. The fallback came through, but a little bit too late. The exothermic Excaros pellets now being shot through to open up a wall into construction, but you're in a 2v3. Plenty of flank watch drones, as you see on the side of Team Secret Academy. They need to find themselves a way inside a gym or a bedroom. As the drones are spotting no one in bathroom, no one in gym, okay, well, that gives you some opportunities, but still around. And they're in the bathroom, they're in logistics, where they'll be playing from. But since you're with a man disadvantage, you need to start playing together, because if you don't, you're giving them 1v1s, and that's not something you can afford right now. As the timer keeps ticking, I mean, all Team Secret Academy can do right now is work with what they have. And the information they have is the gym is clear. They do not know where these three players are. They have good estimated guesses based on experience, but they do not have confirmation. That is the painful part. Smoke bolts in. First incendiary bolt, smoke bolts now. That allows them to go for the plant, but the goo mine is going to slow things down. Frenchie will have to pull that one out first. 9 seconds as the cover needs to come on, but it's not on point. Jax will find one, but the timer keeps sticking, and that means it will run out. Panohane, with 4 rounds on the board against 1 from Secret, have definitely showed up here to their defensive half.
But again, it's just these cheeky moments coming out from Nick where he's just like, oh, they're planting. I am just going to swing out from the mattress now. No one's there to shut me down. Over shutdown's there, but it's too late now. Kit's in no man's land. It's these little standout moments that time and time and time again in the last month and a half or so, we're looking at Nick and it's like, of course you've done that, my friend. Of course you've done that.
Attackers
really is a pivotal piece of this Panohane puzzle. This has been a great defense from them all so far. And I think I don't want to get my... It sounds awful to say. I don't want to get my hopes up right now and be like, okay, maybe this sets a very good tone for how the rest of the map will go for them. Given its Secret's map pick especially. Right? Because you're kind of sat there thinking, okay, it's Secret's map pick. They should be winning this. And then we'll go into concert where Panohane clearly have a plan. I've been bitten by them too much lately. And again, I do think the main point of struggle at the moment for Panohane has been those attacks. So we'll see how we end up at that half. Loads of kit here to secure this defense. So again, the owls are coming out. We've got the evil eyes, toxic babes, loads of denial here alongside the clash. You're really looking at just being a nuisance to the collapse, essentially. Secret, it does give them a bit of a breathing space on these extensions. Maybe that's where they need to be looking. Of course, this wall, 9 times out of 10, is going to open very, very quickly. Where are these other angles of pressure coming in? Ninku, getting a bit cheeky and stuck there. Might rotate and maybe go towards main at some point. They will have pressure coming from that other side. And I do think that, like, you want options, right, Hap? You want as many options as possible.
Dude, but they're taking more than a minute. They can't open the wall. They're struggling. They're actually going to bring in a heartbeat gadget to do the job for him, because Marto's tried his best. He's not been able to find any success with the blowtorch. Decided to go to different pastures to open up the wall instead. That one he succeeded on, though. So, not fully his fault. And with that first minute off the board, it took them quite a long time to open up the main breach, but at least, it's done. At least they have that under control. With that, Clutch Drone inside. Hacking out some information is going to be given that bulletproof now towards the attackers. Be quite handy as well, considering the fact it just gives them a little bit more width in what they can actually see and what information they have compared to what they otherwise would. But fact is, there's a minute left, almost no control. Destruction only now, starting to receive a little bit of pressure as Linko coming around the corner will find one for the kills, but needs to find 4 more. And now they know where they're coming from. As they're opening up the pipe just so it doesn't bite them back later down the line. Marto is going to be opening up the construction wall first, checking if anybody's watching on his cams, as he knows that's not the case. He's waiting to see our teammates in position. If yes, then he will open up. As the wall gets created, that is going to be slowing down rotations here and there. Lems and Linko both pick up kills. Frenchie trying to push in together with Jax. It's only Nick now left. He will find 1. He will find 2. He needs to find 3 more, and we'll find a 3rd. As he reloads, he's looking, he's listening, but Lems comes around the corner. In secret, they will win that round, and we'll make sure that 4-2 is the side split.
It's really good going from Secret there in those final moments as well to actually be able to shut down Nick. Because it really looked like he was looking at clutching that out then. Loki feeding him 1v1s. Don't want to do that in those moments. You want to try and go for the pinches. 4-2 split for Panahorne. I think, again, getting that advantage is obviously a good thing. Will be interesting to see how these attacks go for Panahorne. Again, I just think my main kind of worry here is that Panahorne are just gonna really just let themselves go on the attack. And again, it's a frustration point that's happened throughout this tournament so far. We know they can attack well. Combine, Rumble, we saw these amazing attacks. Even, the reason I thought they'd end up going later through the bracket in that Combine bracket in the first place was because of how their attacks were going in that group stage. It was so fluid and clockwork. Something's happened since Rumble. Something's happened where just, I don't know if the Jimmys or Russell, but they feel a completely different team. And you're just thinking, how to do this. Just lock it in. And again, Secret going on to defense now. Secret aren't going to be holding back realistically, are they? They're going to be throwing everything in the kitchen sink. They're going to be so hyper aggressive. It's like, what are you doing in those moments to kind of be like, okay, we need to expect the aggression, but we still have to kind of up the ante ourselves.
I've actually never seen someone throw a kitchen sink yet. I think that would be kind of funny to see. But yeah, no, back to that point you were making. Please, not my kitchen sink.
Too late now.
But they've shown a bit of aggression here and there, definitely on that attack. Now they're on the defense, and we said it before, like, against structure, disruption works really well. So if Panahorne is going to be bringing this in structured because they're not as confident in their attacks as they, normally would be, the disruption is really a big cause for trouble. Because if you're like, okay, well, everybody knows Clubhouse, everybody knows how to attack, and they're going very methodically about it, and then suddenly there's a person where they shouldn't be, and it's like, okay, we are attacking basement, there's a guy on the 2nd floor, what do we do about this? Do we hunt him down? Do we not hunt him down? Usually takes a couple of seconds before the call is made, then the call to action needs to come, and boom, suddenly you're out of time by the time you actually reach that basement. So you gotta hope that Panahorne has their attacks properly prepared for this site, able to bring a bit of pace as well, slow things down, speed it back up, stay dynamic.
Especially given, like, again, just to really emphasize this point home, right? Okay, yes, it was against Geeke, right? But Panahorne and Geeke were very, very much back and forth with each other, like really trying to. That was like the main contention for a while. Throughout August and September, and in the group stage they played it on Bank, right? And Bank, going into that, you're like, okay, Panahorne's best map, yes, it's Geeke, but Panahorne, when they've gone head to head on this map before, it's been pretty close. It was then a 7-2 victory to Geeke, and as soon as that side switch came in, it was so easy for Geeke to snuffle up those final few rounds. simply down to the fact that Panahorne were being so passive on their attacks.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being...
And that's where you're kind of like, okay, we need to up the ante a little bit there. We need to make sure that we are, you know, keeping hold of that pace, keeping that timer. Yes, being aware of it, but like just making sure that we're not kind of losing ourselves by not taking the gunfights that we know we should be taking and not taking the pressure as quickly that we should be taking. There needs to be no dilly-dallying when it comes to the attack here. And again, if you do dilly-dally, Secret are just going to start
located a bomb.
getting very, very cheeky. Very cheeky.
Race away.
Ironically, Secret kind of banning out this Blackbeard is very clever from them, because again, you've kind of taken away that aggressive shield utility from the hands of Panahorne when they 100% would be trying to utilize that just to get the ball kind of rolling when it comes to these more aggressive entry points.
Secret Academy, as they are on that defense, of course, looking to provide that disturbance. As Panahorne on the attack. Of course, they need to make a big strike. They need to make a big move to put themselves up towards those 5 rounds. And as such,
Drone is ready to go.
we see them go for CCTV first. It's the plan. But the garage is being heavily met. And Marto being around on the clash as well is going to prove quite problematic too. So it's basically you're going through the full motions of a CCTV cache attack before you finally get to gym and bedroom. So it might even be worth it of just calling it, deciding to, you know, forget about these people. There's 4 people around here, Chris. There's 1 person on the site. As Nisha gets the very first, and well, Nick will find a second, going quite low himself. So at least this approach from Secret is being punished to the maximum. As Frenchie will find 1, Linko a second, but he's finding himself in the oil pits now. Somehow is brought back towards a 2v1. But the side is now under full control of the side of Panahorne. And the plan's already happening as well, as Linko is rushing for his life. Swapping over to the 9x19. Is he able to find the blitz in time? The answer is no. Pre-fire's there. They know exactly where he is. Spotted now as well by that blitz. As the swing is coming around the corner, he's trying to get the knife, but he's fully blinded. And Rastin locks him off. Panahorne, the 5th round on the board.
Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And that's exactly what we want to see from them. They're the kind of attacks we want to see. Up in the ante, yes. We saw nearly a little bit of a reverse there because Secret, they got really bolshy to try and get some of those bodies back in their favor. But at that point, one of you drops into oil and it's like, oh, it all starts to fall apart a little bit. You lost sight control. Very clunky rotation back up. Not really much you can do in those moments when you're that remaining player and you're like, okay, the plant's down and there's 2 of them and 1 of me. I can pre-fire, but as soon as I do, it's like they know where I am and those swings are going to come through. Great work there from Panahorne. More importantly, getting themselves close to match point on Secret's map. Much, much better from them. So much better. Very exciting to see.
Keep us secured.
Really does warm the heart a little bit. Finally shaking off that stagnant energy that they had. Hitting the ground running in this half.
Oh, 2 more to go for them.
Attackers must locate...
What is it? Secret might start clapping a bit more aggressively now. They might start to get a bit more...
You didn't think that was aggressive enough last round?
Well, yeah, true. This is the thing. How do you even up the ante from that in those fights? Yeah.
Jump out, run out, spawn peaks.
I do think so.
There's
I do think so. There's so many opportunities, and again, you know, loads of denial yet again. The evilized, the toxic babes, but sometimes I think all it takes is just one person getting a little bit freaky deaky with it. Especially Linku, right? Linku's in stock, and that could be massive right now because if he suddenly runs out aggressively,
Let's cause some chaos.
that could again be that wildcard factor that Secret need to cause a little bit of a rustling. But have they clocked it? Have they clocked that he's there? And will that cause a distraction, Hap?
That's the question. I don't think they do. Is he still there? Is then the second question you'd like to see answered. As the rotations are coming around, it seems to still be the case. Now, him being there allows him to go for a bit of a run out onto the main breach, of course. Nick is watching it, however, so there could be a notion of what's going on. As the drones come around the corner, players actually move themselves over to stock, and the door being opened up could be the trigger for them to lean back into the fight. Nick won't find anything. The first 90 seconds pass, uneventful, I say, as Linko finds Rastin from the lounge. Instantly headed back down, just making sure there's no one actually coming in from that basement. As long as he's around here, he's an issue. Because he can play this from below and he can start supporting Alems as soon as they're trying to put that pressure into the garage. He sees some of these shadows as Hovo will find Linko. Flashbangs coming through. Alems burned to a crisp. And suddenly Panahone, they find themselves a man advantage as they get 2 kills for the efforts. A smoke canister will stop them from instantly taking the mezzanines under their control, but that's okay. Because with a minute left, there's plenty of time to rotate, and they'll do exactly that. Get someone onto the main breach, the rest of them will push the garage so they can try and get that plant down in 40 seconds. Again, plenty of time of doing so. The Evil Eye could provide a bit of information, so will be punched. Doors can still be opened up. As Hovo running across. Smoke canister popping. Still in pockets there for the side of Frenchie. As they find themselves in that 3-3, a 4-on-3, sorry, man count split. The second smoke canister pops. And with that now they can dig deep. That's exactly what Hova's doing. He's planting in an orthodox position here. They probably wouldn't expect it, but Jack swings up with the Owler. Will find 2 before he's shut down. Nick is swapping over to the pistol, not able to find the connection he needs. 5 seconds counting down, and they're already out of sight. He needs to go for the plant as Frenchie goes down, but he realizes that there is no option to secure it. And thus the defense with another round on the board. And Secret, now 5-4. Close that gap.
Unfortunately, that cover wasn't there in those final moments because it was really good utility use coming out there from Panahorne, kind of flashing, follow up with a firebolt. Removing that pressure from rafters. Again, yes, they punched out the Evil Eye, but they were still worried about... They were still worried about it. Even at such a distance, we saw this massive hesitance. And again, that's where my bear bug lies sometimes with Panahorne at the moment. It's these moments of hesitance. When that time is ticking down, you can't really afford to be so hesitant. And yes, okay, going for the slightly off plant in those moments is the right call to make, but... You're then just allowing yourself to be mowed down by the Elder. Secret in those moments being like, thank goodness we brought the Maestro out. It allows ourselves to create information for ourselves, faint pressure, and a lovely little 2-piece to boot when they're trying to go for that collapse.
Speed active.
Real good work from Secret there.
Reinforcing wall.
Yeah, Panahorne, it's not disastrous, right? Again, they really were doing a good job, you know, going through the utility, going through that checklist very, very quickly and effectively, but just faffing about too much in those final moments.
Loading new magazine!
The Rios is cold. Believe it will happen.
Clear.
So going back to our beautiful faces yet once more. Oh.
I thought you were very zoomed in then.
It's just what happens when we are suddenly
this.
like big on the... I mean, I could come even closer. It's like, hello there. Put my microphone a little bit closer as well, just to talk in people's ears.
Oh my god. No, again, there's promise now coming back into Panahorne, right? Because again, these attacks have been decent. It's just, yeah, final moments in those moments. I think something needs to be done about these kind of, I don't want to say wimpy moments, but just moments where they're not as effectively assertive when that shot call's coming through of like, okay, go for the collapse now, and just no one's really doing. I mean, you assume that's what's happening in those moments where it's like, yeah, you have space, I'm covering this. collapse in, get that plant down, we need to stick diffuser. And then everyone's just kind of stood there like hesitant, like, but there's an evil eye all the way behind us at the other side of garage, and I'm, worried that that's gonna somehow, beam me. Or maybe it's very peculiar in those moments for Panel Hornet. And again, it's something that they really struggled when they got into that vibe, when they were going against GK on bank, and it really rustled me, because I was like, you guys are good and you don't have to be this rustled about these moments. You don't have to overthink, and maybe that is the next step for them. It's just dealing with this overthinking.
Sorry, I just read Cham saying that I should never do that again. So, sorry, Cham. I mean, it is a close game, and I'm enjoying that part so far. Really excited to see where this next round will go, because like often we talk about round number 10 as being that decisive factor. It's usually one team finding themselves on that point, or a guaranteed 12 rounds to decide where we'll be headed. And with that, I mean, we didn't really expect anything else between these two. I said it at the preface of the show today. I was like, okay, well, one will be like a 2-0, the other one is going to be way closer, which is why it should be like the game of the day. And so far, it is definitely close. Yeah,
definitely. And again, I think it's kind of put a lot of hope back into Panel Hornet. The way that you kind of view that roster, really, because there were a few question marks with how the kind of group stage went. And granted, everyone and their nan during that group stage was being like, oh, it's not so serious, it's whatever, it's just seeding, we don't care, blah blah blah. But then to kind of come into the playoffs and then Panel Hornet be like, okay, getting a win on bank versus Project Zero, getting a win on border, more importantly, against Project Zero as well. So already, yes, you've gone on to like your favorite map and you've won it, excellent, we got back on the horse with that one. But then going on to an aggressive map like border against a team like Project Zero, where you've got Upor kind of with his flair and pizzazz, right? And you're kind of like, okay, you've still been able to contest this to a point where you've won it 7-5. Going against Secret, in theory, we would hope that you are able to, secure things just as effectively, regardless of what aggression they're bringing. We've seen this from Panel Hornet so far. We've seen this. We've seen that they can contest it. But when you have a round play out where a little bit of a crack is forming and you're kind of like, no, don't you do this to me again. Don't you do this to me again. Where you start to like overthink things and these collapses aren't coming through because you're just worried. Again, I'd say if Secret loses map, it kind of speaks more volumes to how the rest of the series will go. To be honest, like I think going into it, I expected Secret to win it, right? Is their map pick. They themselves immediately out of the get-go really trying to manipulate the veto in their favor, just immediately being like, we don't even want to touch bank. Yes, it's good for us, but this is Panel Hornet. We don't want to risk that at all. Again, I think if Panel Hornet are able to secure this and then we go on to Consulate, it's going to get a little bit dicier for Secret. And I don't doubt that Secret have kind of probably, worked a bit more in scrims on Consulate. But in terms of officials, we haven't really seen it from them apart from, once in the last few months, and they lost it. So it's kind of like, okay, that's a lot of reliance on us kind of sat there and being like, you've clearly cooked in scrims. We just have to have faith that that's what the case is, because you haven't shown it in officials. And yes, granted, it could be because people don't want to really go for that, but again, it's these wild card factors, these tricks up your sleeve. Are you really investing them at this part in the tournament, or are you really ideally needing to save them for later?
I mean, that's the big question, right? Because the thing is, if you win here today, you're guaranteed top 3. Like, that's already big. That's quite a lot of points on the board, a big part of the prize money as well. And the guarantee you're playing next week, whether that will be upper bracket or lower bracket, that is decided, of course, on the Sunday. But I think this is the game that if you need to just give it a little bit of extra, just give it a little bit of extra, because you are skipping from a top 6 position to a top 3 position by taking this one home. Of course, you'll be facing Geeky afterwards, but at some point you're just gonna have to face them anyway.
I really am kind of sat here and I'm thinking, like, because at some point someone needs to beat EK, right? Someone needs to dismantle these kings from their throne. Someone needs to dismantle these kings from their throne. But you think about You know, the stronger contenders for that we've seen over the last like few months, and even in Combine, right? It's okay. Certain rosters weren't there, but certain players were. And you're kind of looking at those players and you're being like, you should have done the thing. You should have actually, you know, beat them at this point in that older roster. And, you know, going into, again, okay, I'm just going to call it as it is. You know, Good Intentions, that is the roster that I assumed was going to dismantle things in Rumble because of how those players play in general, looking at that roster. And again, even, I'd argue in Combine Team SBL, that was the kind of roster where I was looking and I was being like, surely they win this, like surely they actually secure that, and it did not happen at all. So when you're kind of thinking about who is going to be the one to dismantle EK from their throne, you're looking at Panahorne, you're looking at Secret Academy, you're looking at Good Intentions. I think they're the three main rosters, but then Project Zero and Diavole in their own right, like they have the rosters and the potential of doing that. You know, and it's just kind of like when we get to this part of the bracket, you're still kind of expecting people to not show their full hand because we are still in the uppers, right?
Well, we still got to figure out who's going to take it, Grace, and we're getting back into the map, as the people at home will have seen in the meantime. So let's see. Is Panahorne able to continue bringing the heat, or is Secret able to spice things up? Because as you said, you are having some big worries for the side of Team Secret if this goes to Panahorne's side. So, off we go. Last bit of reinforcements coming in, and with that, Secret Academy, as they prepare themselves for the incoming storm. It is Panahorne. They'll have to decide on what way they would like to approach. Of course, we are in the basement. Now, there isn't that many people in the basement. Just a single person. And that provides opportunities. Maybe for a quick play. I mean, the extension is all the way up towards the top floor. So be crazy. Live a little. Who knows, you might be able to find some success on the back of it.
Thermal breach set.
Let's see how this goes. Especially like Marto with the Spec IO, having a gander from the rafters area, jumping down. Work out from the get-go what he can see. Panahorne just trying to poke those holes in. Looks like they are going to go for full clearance. Safety first. Again, it's that aspect. Keep your eye on the timer. Marto has bolted out of there. He's dropped down to oil. But we still have this lovely little extension coming through from Frenchie and Alems. Even Linku's still on the top floor. Forcing Panahorne to commit to this clearance. Again, just taking a bit of time to do so. This approach really isn't coming in quick enough. Are they aware? That's very smart indeed.
It's going to stop them, the shield, from using a flash if they really need to. Not that he gets it eventually. 1-for-1 trade coming in. Panahorne on the better hand, though. We'll also have it down onto Frenchie as Rastin takes a little bit of damage left and right. The grenade will be rolling in, confirming the kill, forcing Alems back. But Rastin is finding himself on 1 HP now. And that is quite a big thing. Lambe, as he rolls in his drone, is trying to figure out some extra information. Nick as well, trying to make sure that the dirt tunnel is safe, can open it himself. Using the hard breach can. And as they're waiting, a minute left, plenty of time, the pipe will be blown up. As we said before, it's like part of the step-by-step plan. They want to go over that part at some point, so better get it out of the way now. And as the nitros start popping, some extra verticality will be opened up for the attack. But 50 seconds on the board and the can openers doing their final jobs. The openings necessary are there. And the final execute is about to come in. Is Nick aware of the fact that one is right below him? We'll get the down onto Marto. That's a huge pick. And now we're on a 4v2 as they crawl right underneath the fire. Alems goes down as well. It's only up to Jax. In a 1v4, the plan's happening. The ping is there. He knows where it is, but they know where he is as well. Hova picks him up, and that's map point for Banahone.
Incredible work from Panahone. Again, just really poking at those holes and essentially for a big part of that, just really ignoring the kind of riffraff, I suppose, on that extension until they've really had to. Really focusing that attack from the freer side that they saw, seeing the opportunity and kind of going for it as well. And again, a little bit of good timing, to be honest, coming through to gift them that kind of immediate clearance into blue. And from then on out, they just had to spread outwards.
Attackers need to locate and defuse the bomb.
It made it look so easy.
Speed up and run.
New camera feed up and running.
Bedroom, of course, Panahone banning out those mirror windows and the Kiba barriers to boot. That's going to remove a lot of cover from the pockets of Team Secret. They're not choosing to bring the Clash out. Instead, they're going to rely on the Vulcans. They're going to rely on that Fenrir
Feed active.
to help them push back and give them a little bit of a safety net. However, re-picking onto the fuse as well. I like to see that, to be honest.
Like a cheeky little fuse.
Yeah, good way to clear utility. On the other side of walls, on the other side of hatches. You really just do a lot of the work for you without you even having to get in the building. So I do really rate that. And it gives you the secondary hard breaching as well. So if the X-Kairos don't have the impact and the effect you want them, it gives you more options in that regard.
Our Zeroteros slowly starting to roll in, just going to be dealing with some of the basic utility that will be placed around. Of course, Panahone find themselves in some pretty good footing out here. Don't think they're feeling too stressed. So far the game has been going in their direction for most of the time.
See you on the other side.
And as the breaches are starting to come through, the pressure will start to rise and everything does as it usually goes. Has that first minute with not a single casualty in pocket or in mind. But rotations are definitely starting to happen here, and that is going to be allowing Panahone to get themselves in a better position. But the question is, will they have enough time when they finally go for the execute?
That is a big question. Again, they need to keep their eye on the timer. They've been doing a decent job of it, especially in that last round, finding those gaps and going for it. That's the key factor. No hesitation on this round. Given the clearance they've got, again, Garage immediately coming into them. They just have to worry about this pressure on the corner, but, well, pressure, what pressure? Motto pulling back. As soon as he hears those X-Kairos, he's like, nah, they're opening up lines of sight. I'm not going to risk that. Has to be careful. The setup here might cause a little bit of a kerfuffle for him. Having to invest a nade as well just to get that Vulcan popped. Again, looking at wasting that time, but a little bit scattered.
Does a bit of damage. Rastin though finds the first huge pick. Marto off the board. Frenchy playing close to the bathroom wall. Has that shotgun as Hova gets himself removed down below, I believe. That fuse not going to be having any impact, so brings it back to a 4-4 equal kind of split. As Frenchy's digging himself in deep into the bathroom. Nico will go down. Nitrocell won't follow up yet. Frenchie is stuck in the bathroom as Nick will find Jax as well. Alems is rotating back up on the main stairs. This could be the end of this map. He misses with the shotgun shell. Alems, the last man standing, aware of the fact of where they could be coming from, but he gets teamed up on. And Panahone block it off. Secure that first map with a 7-4 victory. Again, relatively controlled. Nothing really under big pressure. Of course, bar the first round where almost Marto managed to find an ace on the board. Besides that, everything has been closer in their control.
It's so much better from